So let me create a new file. And today we are going to learn about the functions concept. Okay, so in the last week we are discussing about the control flow statement. On that time, what I said, control flow statement and functions. These are the backbone of any programming language. Whenever you're learning any programming language and you want to write the instructions using that particular language, you should know perfectly of this particular two concepts. One is the control flow statement and one is the functions. So we have done with the control flow statement. Now we are learning the functions. So first we understand what is the function. Okay. Then what is the aspect of the function. Okay. And how we can use this particular functionalities. So first of all, let me add some point in the function. The first point is it's a type of identifier. So what we have learned in the first class, what is identifier? It's a name which is assigning by the user of the programming language or developer of the, okay, or programmer. So whenever you assign any name in the identifier, it means you are storing something. Example, if you're taking the variable, so what we are storing inside of the variable, we are storing the data. Same thing here also in the function also, we are assigning a name. But in this particular name, what we are going to store? So here we store maybe any statement also. You can store any conditions also. You can store any loop also. You can write any formulas also. So you can write a process also, or else you can write multiple blocks also, or simply you can say set of lines of code. So when you are writing all these things, it is nothing but it will become one mini program. So is a function, simple language, simple definition of the function is a block of code. Okay, or simply I'll write here, you can write block of code. And whenever you want to execute this particular code, you have to store into one name, and whenever it is required, you just need to call the name of the function, it will be executed. Okay, so here the main purpose, okay, the main concept, or you can say main purpose of using the function is code reusability. Means whenever you don't want to write the same code again and again, what you can do means you can execute that particular code. Whenever you want to execute that particular code, you just have to write that particular code into one block and assign some name, and whenever it is required, just call that particular function name. Example, printf function is there, input function is there. So we use this particular functionality number of times. So just assume it is not written, you have to write customizedly, then it will be a big issue for us, right? Similarly, just assume you are developing one particular application. Let's take an application of something, uh, car application. There is a racing car game application is there, and there are different type of functionalities are there. What are the functionalities are there? Start the car is a one functionality, just assume. Brake, okay, is a one particular functionality, just assume. Okay, changing the gear is a one functionality, just assume. Okay, and increasing the speed is a one particular functionality, just assume. And now you are in one particular game, just there will be different type of models of cars are there. Now for each and every particular car model, there will be similar functionalities are there. Now, do we need to write the same thing again and again? No, we don't require this, right? We can just copy paste that particular functionality. Okay, whenever you want to execute this, you can take that particular we can save that particular code, and just it is required, just we have to call that particular functionality with the name of whatever the name we have given. Is it clear?
Yes,
Now,
sir.
now we have two types of functions will be there.
Yes, sir.
Types of functions. What are the two types of functions? The first one is called ready-made function. This is also called built-in functions. And one type of function is called user defined function. It is also called customized function. So what is the meaning of the ready-made or built-in function? It means some other developer, okay, or already created that particular functionality. We don't need to create. Just assume there is a math library. In the math library already, uh, there a factorial function is there, square root function is there, okay, GCD of the two number function is there. Everything is ready-madely available. But just assume, okay, there is a no particular function is available to execute any particular result, or you want to perform particular operation or task. So then what you have to do, you have to write the code by your own, and then if you want to make it available for all, then you can uh, pass particular function to everyone. So now, how to create your own functionality? So we have already using some ready-made functions like printf input, okay, list functions, string functions, tuple function, dictionary functions. But now what we have to do, we have to create our own functionalities. So whenever you're creating your own functionalities, we have a concept called aspect of the function. Okay, so we already learned this in the C language. Okay, similar to here. Okay, aspect of the function means there are three parts of the function. The first one is called declaration of the function, or you can say function declaration. Second one is called function defining, and third one is called function call. First one function declaration, second one function defining, and third one is called function call. So what is function declaration? Whenever you want to create a function, the first step you have to do is you have to assign the name of the function, and then how many argument is going to pass inside of the function when it is called, that also you have to mention. This is nothing but the declaration part. In other programming language, we use data types also. So there we have to mention the return type also. Like in C language, C++ or Java, we have to mention the return type like integer, character, float. Okay. If you are not mentioning any data type, it should be void. So, but here in Python language, it's a dynamically typed programming language. Here we don't need to mention the any type of data types. So here in the function declaration part, we don't mention the return type. Why? Because it's a dynamically type programming language. Okay. So this is also interview question. Okay. They'll ask you in the tricky way in C language or Java. Uh, there will be a different type of declarations are there. Like we use the return type, okay, and passing the arguments. So they'll ask you like how to give the return type in the function. So the answer is you have to say no, we don't declare any type of return type in the Python programming language. Why? Because it is a dynamically typed programming language. So here we don't mention any type of data types. Okay, that will be your answer. So here, yes, we have a declaration part in the Python programming language. So here we just mention the function name and the how many argument list is going to be passed, that I have to mention. There is a declaration part. So what we mention here in the declaration part, here we mention the name of the function, what is going to be the name of the function, the same what how you have to give the name of the function, same thing what we have learned in the first class, naming rule of the identifier. Okay, the name should not start with any special character except of underscore, the name should not start with any numbers, and name should not be a keyword, and name only start with the either underscore or any alphabetic character. So name of the function and how many argument is going to be passed. Okay, so that is nothing but here, nothing but here passing parameter while declaring. Okay, syntax. What is the syntax? So first of all, here there is a keyword called def, and then you have to give your function name, and then you have to open the bracket, close the bracket, and in this you have to mention the parameters name, how many parameters you are going to pass. So this parameter is going to work as a variable, and whenever you calling the function, like how you call the print function, and in the print function we write something variable name statements, we can pass print variable name and statement also, both the thing we can pass. So here how many things you are going to pass when you are calling the function, so that will be considered as a parameter. So how many parameters you are passing, that much arguments you can pass. This is the declaration part. Is it clear, guys? Okay,
Yes, sir.
let's add some example. For example, I don't want to pass any particular parameter. Simply you can write something like which is a function. Okay, like div, I want to create a add function of two values. So let's add a comma b like this. I want to pass only one particular parameter. Let's assume cube of the given number. So here write a only. You can pass any name as a parameter. How you pass the variable name? Same thing you have to pass the parameter name. Okay. And next section is the defining section. So once you declare any name of the function, then here defining nothing but what you want to execute. What you want to execute means here your logic. Logic is nothing but the code which we want to print or execute. That is going to be added in the logic. So how we are going to write here? Syntax. Okay, first of all you have to write the function name. Okay, so function name, and then how many parameters you are passing. If not passing also no issues, parameters name, and then you have to mention the colon, and then you have to give one tab space, because in Python we don't use the open bracket close bracket, so you have to maintain the flow using this one tab space. That is nothing but we call indent, and then here you have to write the whatever you want to execute, that particular should be added here. Example, here I have to write def, just example I want to print wish. Okay, this is my function, and here I'll write something print welcome like this. Okay, if any some other example, def something add a comma b, and just assume I don't want to print any statement directly, I want to print the result, so I can use the return keyword. So return is a one type of transfer statement keyword which is used in any particular block to terminate. So we use in the function to terminate the function. So whenever I'm using like terminate a function means it will become a last line of the function. So here I want to print something a plus b like that. Okay, is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now calling the function. Now you declare the function, you define the function, what you want to execute, but how it is going to be executed? Nothing but okay, whenever you want to execute your function must be called. Function must be called means okay, whatever the name, okay, the name you have given, that name you have to call. Example, okay, the syntax is simple. Let me write first a syntax, function name, and then argument list. Argument is nothing but whatever the parameter you have passed, that argument list you have to pass here. Okay, and one more thing I'll add the point, if any parameter passed, then you have to give the values accordingly. Okay. Next, let's take an example here. For example, I'm not passing any values. So just like example, wish is there. So just you have to call the wish. That's it. Now in add, you are passing the value. So here you have to pass something like 1 comma 2 like this. Is it clear?
Sir.
Okay. Screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
explain one more time the last one. Sir, call function.
Yeah. We'll do practically. So you'll get the idea how it is working.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now let me run this here. Okay. Let me create some functionalities. So here I'm taking the basic function without argument, without passing any parameter and argument. Let me write here creating a basic function or simple function without parameter and argument. So here what I will do, I'll just give the function name def, let's assume wish. This is my function. Okay, so this is the declaration part. Now what I want to execute, print, just assume welcome to Python I want to execute. And once I run this, it is not going to be executed. Why? If you want to execute, you have to write the again the function, then only it will be executed. Whenever you want to execute the function must be called, then only function is going to be executed. Okay. Now second example, passing the parameters. So here just assume I want to print the addition of the two number. So here I'm writing def keyword, and then here I'm writing something add, and here I'm writing a comma b. So this a comma b becomes my parameters, and here just assume what I want to print. For example, I want to print a value is a, I want to print b value is b, and here I want to print addition also. So here I'll write a plus b is nothing but a plus b. Now once I execute, nothing is going to print. Why? Because you have to call the function. So what is the function name? Add. Now here you have passed the two parameters a comma b. So now you have to give the two values. Let's assume 10 comma 20 I have given. Now you can see it is executed. Again you add and just write 3 comma 4. Again you'll get the result. Again you write some values 9 comma 8, and here you can see we don't need to write that code again and again. Only we can execute whatever you want to execute. You don't need to rechange that particular code. You don't need to arrange the values. Okay, everything is going to be executed, okay, according to the logic or according to the code whatever you have written. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now same thing I'm writing the using return function. So here I don't want to print any statement directly. I want to execute my return function. So here this just I'll write, just assume there is a def, just assume square of the function. So here I'm taking one variable as a n as a parameter. Okay, and here I want to return something n into n. So now once I print the square of the any number, it will print again. If I want to change it 4, it will print me that 4. If I write something 11, it will get me the 11th of the square. You can write any functionality. Let's take one more example. I want to print cube of the given number. So simply I'll write any parameter, and then here what I want to return, just assume n into n like this. Okay, and if I print any values here, let's assume 2, let's assume 3, or any particular something 8, automatically will get that particular answer. Got it?
Yes.
Now you can write these functionalities, okay, in one line also. So if you're writing these functionalities in one line, that type of function is called lambda function or anonymous function. Okay, anonymous function means it is a one line function. How you're going to write this particular one line function? First of all, you have to give the function name equals to, then you have to mention this lambda keyword, and then you have to pass parameter and the expression. Expression is nothing but the whatever the result you want to display. Example. So here we have created the add function, right? So here you can see we have writing def add and whatever the result is there a plus b. Now let me write using the lambda function. Okay. So first let me write once again add, okay, a comma b, and here I'm writing returning a plus b, right? And if I write a something 3 comma 4, I'll get the answer. Now same thing I want to write in one line only. So just assume I'll write add to equals to, okay, lambda, then parameter, how many parameter? Just assume x comma y, okay, and here I want to print the expression. Expression is nothing but the result, whatever you want to evaluate. So here I'll write the x plus y. Now if I print add to something 3 comma 4, you'll get the result. I write, if I write a to something 5 comma 6, you'll get the result. Let me write one more example of the cube function or square function. Let me write square. Square 2 equals to lambda, and then how many parameter? Only one parameter is required, and here I'll write x into x. And if I write x square of something 3, square of 5, like that. Let me write cube also. Cube 2 equals to lambda, okay. Just assume y, and here I'm writing y into y into y. And if I write cube 2, I'm printing some number. You can see 5 cube 2, any number something 6, like this. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now there is a one more concept to write the functionalities. This is also an interview question. What is the difference between the iterative function and recursive function? So here, whenever you're writing any functionality using the loop, this is called iterative function. Whenever you're writing any functionality using the if else, and one more thing, here function is going to be called inside of the same function, then it will be called as a recursive function. Example, here I'm writing, let's print, I want to print 1 to 10 values using the iterative, nothing but the I have to use the loop. So simply I'll write def, okay, just I want to print count 1, I have given the name, and here I want to print, for example, for I in range of 1 to 11, and simply I'll print the I. If I want to execute count 1, and all the 10 values are going to be executed. Same thing I can write using the while also. Example, count 2, you have to first initialize the value, just assume x equals to 1, and here I'm writing while x is less than or equals to 10, I want to print this x variable, and I want to increase the values also. And now once you print the count 2, automatically 1 to 10 values is going to print. This is a simple we have which I already learned in the loop. Now same thing I want to print the recursively. So you have to, one more thing you have to understand, whatever the program you're writing Okay, let me write one note. They'll ask you this interview question also. So whatever the code you can execute iterative function, same you can execute using recursive. Okay, that is a very important thing. They'll ask you, can I execute the same code using the recursive which I've already created in the iterative? Yes. Okay, so writing the recursive function is very difficult, but writing the iterative function is very easy. Okay, so in the recursive function, because you have to recall the function within the same function, and one more thing, you have to mention one ending point. If it is not ending point, then it will become an infinite loop and there is a chance of system crash or application crash. So here just assume I want to print 1 to 10 values directly. So here you can see here I have to use one global variable concept. But now you can see here, okay, if I'm using any global variable, uh, here I'm writing a equals to 1 something, and here I'll write def count 3, and here I'm writing a plus equals to 1 because I want to increase the value every time. So we'll write 0, so it will start from 1, and here I'm writing if x is less than or equals to 10 till it should print the a value. And okay, so now you can see this is one particular function, and if I print something like count 3, now you can see here I'm getting one error. What is the error? Can't access the local variable a where it is not associated with any value. So it is showing like in a there is a nothing as value is there. And now if I'm not, but you can see a is 0 is we have initialized as a global variable. So here we have a concept called scope of the variable. Okay, this is also be an interview question. They'll ask you like, what is the scope of the variable in Python? Scope of the variable means, okay, when you declare, let me write, when you declare any function, sorry, when you declare any variable till in your program, whatever the blocks you have written. So where you can, or till what the point you can able to access that particular variable. Okay, so simple, when you declare any variable till which area or point or block you can access the variable. So in when you're writing any program, there will be 3 blocks are there. How many blocks? 3 blocks. Okay, so first one is called normal the block space, second one is called function space, third one is called program space. Okay, so these two, block space and function space, will be considered under the local variable. Okay, block space and function space, this comes under the local variable, and program space means this will be considered inside of the global variable. Okay, so what is, first understand what is a block space. Block space means when you have written any separate block, like this if block is there, loop block is there. Okay, and inside of the particular block, when you declare any variable, so on that particular block only you can access the variable. Apart from that, okay, you cannot able to access that variable. Function space means when you declare any variable inside of any particular function, so the limit of that particular variable is within that particular function only. Outside of the function, you cannot able to access that particular variable. And program space means here, okay, it is not inside of any particular block, it is not inside of any particular function space. We write outside of the any particular function. And here, this when you declare any variable as in the program space, it will become one global variable, and you can access this variable anywhere in your program. That is called global variable. Is it clear, guys? Yes, no? Yes, no?
Once again tell, sir.
Okay. We have two types of variables: local variable, global variable. Okay. And the main concept is scope of the variable. Scope of the variable means what is the limit of your variable. When you declare any variable, when you assign any value inside of the variable, till where you can access that particular variable. So now there will be three levels or three blocks in your program. The first one is called block space, second one is called function space, and third one is called program space. Block space means when you declare any variable inside of any particular block. It may be any block, it may be a condition or loop, something. And then if you want to access the same variable outside of the block, you cannot able to access. That is called the block space. And same thing, when you declare any variable inside of the function, you cannot able to access outside of the function. That is also called local variable. But anywhere you declare any variable outside of the block space, outside of the function space, okay, that is called as a program space. Okay, and here if you declare any variable in the program space, you can access that variable everywhere in your program. That is called global variable. Example, just assume here I've written a equals to 1, and here I'm writing some function, okay, something test, and here I'm writing something b equals to something 2. And just assume here I'm writing one more something block, and just assume here I'm writing c equals to 3. And here I'm just writing print c, okay. So here now when you, okay, so this must be inside of one block. So let me create one more function here inside of that test2. Now it will become my block space, okay. And now here I have to call this function to execute this. So I'll write test2 here. Okay, what has happened? Okay, it should be here. Okay, now it is perfect. Now if I run this particular test, now you can see here 3 is printing. Why? Because C we have declared in this test2. Now let's see here, I'm making as a comment. Let me write in this one other block, okay, and here making as a comment. Now here, okay, I'm removing these test2, and here in this particular same block you can see here b equals to 2 is there, okay. So it's the same block area, and now here I'm writing print b, okay. And now let me just print test. So now 2 is printing, right? Now this is perfectly. Now same here, what I'm doing, after b I want to print the print c. Now you can see, let me run this program. So now you can see here we are getting our error, c is not defined, but you can see you have defined the c equals to 3. Why it is not accessible? Because it will a separate block, okay. It is inside of the test, but it is a separate block, and here only you have declared the variable. So till here in this particular block only you can access it. This is called block space. What you call block space, and this is the function space, and this will be your program space. Now just assume, let me copy this program, and now instead of c I want to print a, and now let me run this test. Now you can see here you can access the a. Got it? Same thing, you can access B in the test2 also. Why? Because it is a function space. So function space, whatever you declare in the function space, you can access in the block space. Okay, now this A can be accessible in everywhere. Okay, now you can see in program, this is the program space. Okay, so the program space, and here we have written the function space. Okay, I'm calling in the function space. Again, here I'm calling in the programs. Let me write here just for understanding program space. Okay, and here I'll write the A, so you will get the idea. Okay, so here also I'm writing this is the function space. Okay, and here I'm going to add the same thing. This is my block space. I'll write the A. Okay, and here I need to call the function test2. Okay, so now you can see here program space. Now we have written the main thing, that's why it is printing. Now here I've made it the test. Now you can see here block space also printing and function space also printing. So whenever you declare in any variable in the program space, it's going to be accessed in the function space as well in the block space. Is it clear? Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is also an interview question. They'll ask you what is the limit of the variable or scope of the variable. Limit of the variable or limit of the variable. Okay. Or okay, so let me write here only. Scope of the okay. So this is also an interview question. So now here when I'm writing the recursive function, where I have written, okay, here, okay, we are getting the error, right? Let me copy again, and here you can see when I'm writing this, okay, here, okay, I'm printing count 3, I'm getting the error. What is the error? Cannot access local variable. But is this A is a local variable? No, right? It's a global variable.
Yes, sir.
You can access the variable, right? But in Python, directly you cannot access the variable in a global. If you assign directly, you cannot do any operation. You can print this. You can print this, but you cannot do any assignments here. So if you're writing A plus equals to A, it means it will become an assignment operator. If it is assigning something, then it will understand it is a new variable. What Python program flow will understand, it's a new variable. So here, if you're writing in this particular way, like directly you are doing some assignments, so then if whenever you want to do any assignment or any operation, just mention global keyword and mention your variable. So then your program will understand, okay, so now it's not a local variable, it is the same global variable only. Now once I run this, okay, and now if I print this count 3, okay, now you can see here, okay, okay, so here I've tried the A, okay, and now let's run this. Now you can see 1 is printing. Now again, if you write 2 times, okay, count 1, okay, now you can see 2 and 3 is printing. So now I cannot write all this time one by one, right? Like if it's 2 3 times I can print it, but I want to create a recursive function similar to loop only. So here when you are creating a loop, it should be executed automatically, right? You don't need to write them manually. So here what I will do, I'll write this in a block, and here after this print, again here only inside of this I'm going to call this function. So this type of function is called recursive function. Whenever you're using the if else in your functionality and the function should be called inside of the function, then it will be called as a recursive function. And one more thing you have to note down, it should be end some point. Now you can see we are mentioning the end point a less than or equals to 10. So first it will become a0 become 1, and 1 less than or equals 10. Yes, 1 is less than 10, so it will print 1. Again it will recall and 1 become 2, and again it will check 2 less than 10, yes, it will print 2, like this 3 4 10, like this, it will be equal to the 10. So 10 less than, no, but 10 is equals to 10, yes, now it will print the 10. Now 11, no, it is not less than or equal, then it will close it. Okay, so now you can see if I print this count 3 only one time, all the 10 is going to print. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now let me come to the task. Okay, so what are the tasks are there? First task, create a function and pass any parameter, but don't pass the argument. So what is this? Okay, if you're creating any parameter, it is mandatory you have to pass the argument. Otherwise, you will get the error. But here, while calling the function, you should not get the error. You should get some output. How to do? Research it and do it. Okay, if it is not getting, ask in the next class. Next question: create a function, pass a parameter. Now, what when you are calling? Okay, uh, okay, what I've written: create a function, a parameter, and when calling, okay, I want to pass multiple arguments. So now you can see here simply, if you're passing a one parameter, okay, and using the one parameter, you can pass only one argument only. But using the one parameter, can you pass multiple argument? Research it and check you can pass or not. Okay, next, create a recursive function, execute 1 to 10 value, which is already done. Now, write a program to print the factorial of the given number using with recursion and without the recursion. Without recursion means you have to use the iterative function. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just try this. Okay. So that's it for today.